Well, guys, Scream is finally here, and man, is it a wild freaking ride, guys. I didn't think there would ever be another Scream movie due to Wes Craven's passing in 2015, but the boys over at Radio Silence set out to honor his legacy while still making it their own movie, and if you ask me, they did that near perfectly. It is safe to say that Scream 5, which I'm going to be calling it for simplicity's sake, is by far my favorite movie in the franchise for multiple different reasons. And it's not just because of the fact that Ghostface is the most cold-hearted and ruthless he's ever been since his return to Woodsboro. This movie has so much going for it with little to no cons, and we're going to talk about that right now. When I say that Ghostface is the most cold-hearted and ruthless he has ever been, I am not freaking around. Scream 5 features some of the franchise's most brutal and psychopathic kills to date. No more drawn-out and planned kills, Ghostface just goes right in for the kill and just stabs and stabs until the victim's blood level is absolute zero. If you like brutal deaths with disturbing atmospheres, and you've been wanting to see that in a Scream movie, you are going to love this movie, especially if you've been craving a more ruthless Ghostface, more reminiscent of Charlie in Scream 4. But it's not even just Ghostface that makes the movie highly worth a watch. We also have plenty of fan service for those who savored the original, plenty of excellent acting performances, more specifically Jenna Ortega as Tara Carpenter, and Jack Quaid as Richie Kirsch. Plenty of new ideas that are executed well, and much, much more, which I'm going to get into right now. I can't even begin to describe how excellent the acting performances are in this movie from both the old and new cast. Of course, Neve Campbell once again kills it, but sadly not literally, as Sidney Prescott, who is married to an ambiguously mentioned Mark, although it's for sure Mark Kincaid from Scream 3, I mean, come on, and is pretty much immune to Ghostface's murderous antics at this point. Gail is still an obsessive weirdo, but not as much anymore. She's actually far more likable now, and she wants to do good things for the characters other than just the reason because she wants to rise her book sales. But out of the OG trio, the one whose performance deserves a golden chainsaw is David Arquette, as the depressed and haunted by alcoholism retired cop, Dewey Riley. He perfectly portrays a drunk, depressed male widow who is still haunted by thoughts of better times with Gail before the divorce, despite all the killing. David has killed it in every single Scream movie, but in this one, he absolutely slaughters. Once again, not literally. The new cast is excellent too, but the awards go to Jenna Ortega and Jack Quaid, like I said before. Jenna's performance as a traumatized but strong fighter who makes the movie end happily deserves a fucking Oscar. No lie. She is traumatized after her experience with Mr. Ghostface, and she does not let us forget that. Her feelings of anguish and trauma are portrayed in such a heartbreaking and realistic way that makes us want to feel bad for her, instead of the directors trying to force us to feel bad for her. Jack Quaid does also an outstanding job at playing the goofy but charming comedic relief guy, who serves a much bigger purpose in the movie than just being there so Sam, played by Melissa Barrera, has a boyfriend. But like I said, everyone else killed it too. I did not hate one performance in this movie, even by the actors that were barely in this movie. I think out of the entire Scream franchise, this one features the best and most likable cast of fresh young teens all waiting to get killed. Seriously, the cast in this movie is amazing. Even if the fan service is overdone sometimes, it still does a good job at reminding you that this movie is indeed a love letter to the original. We see old characters, familiar settings, and recycled scenes with new characters to fit in with the modern vibe of the movie, but even then, it still feels so fresh and unique, guys, without being a full-on remake. I absolutely love the scene with Mindy, played by Jasmine Savoy Brown, taking Randy's place in that Watch Out Jamie scene from the original. Also, this isn't really a spoiler, but almost the entire second and a half to third act takes place in the house we all know and love, Stu Macher's house, which is just dripping with nostalgia. I love that the final act takes place here, especially during the reveal, because it just feels so reminiscent of the best third act in the franchise, besides this one of course, the originals. And this one has just as much blood and fear as the originals, except sadly without the stabby fun time, which I was kind of disappointed about, to be honest. Another thing too, the meta-commentary feels entirely fresh, even if it is too on the nose sometimes. Like Scream 4, it's full of callbacks to modern horror movies that most of us have definitely seen, such as The Babadook and It Follows, two of my favorite horror movies by the way, love them. But like I said, it is too on the nose sometimes. I wasn't a huge fan of the decisions some of the characters made simply because horror characters make dumb decisions, and they know that, but some of these characters' decisions feel a little too dumb, almost like the characters are becoming the ones they mock. I won't get into too much detail until the spoiler version of the review comes out tomorrow, but I think you can already guess which ones I'm talking about. But other than that, the meta-commentary is funny and entertaining, especially if Jasmine Savoy Brown is involved. She's basically the new Randy, just not Randy. But yeah, man, these characters know their shit when it comes to horror, but not the killers, ironically enough. This movie also takes a lot of risks that we've never seen in a Scream movie before. Basically, any trait you've been wanting a Scream movie to have, this one has them. We finally get a phone call from Ghostface's POV. Fuck yes. It is, guys, it's sick. which is done excellently, back on script. We get a kill in broad daylight out in public, which feels much more disturbing than a nighttime kill. I know we got that in Scream 2 with Randy's death, but it wasn't out in public. It was in a van out in public, but it wasn't out in public where everybody could see it. I don't know if that's a spoiler, and if it is, I'm sorry, but I guess it's not because I didn't mention who gets killed, but yeah. The only one I'm not a huge fan of is the hallucinations of a certain OG character, mainly just because of how bad the digital de-aging looks on them. However, this character's dialogue is brutal and killer, and it feels very reminiscent of them from the original, which makes up for it a lot. Honestly though, all of this movie's pros make up for its few but present faults, and I know a lot of unbiased Scream heads like myself will agree with me, because, guys, this movie's killer, literally. Honestly, guys, other than a few fairly spaced out faults and some dumb character decisions, Scream 5 is easily the best sequel in the franchise that currently serves as my favorite movie in the franchise as a whole. It has the charm and comedy of the original, but it steps up the horror, brutality, and emotional weight to full freaking throttle. If Radio Silence are going to be in charge of keeping the franchise alive from now on, then I'm hooked, because they killed it this time around, and I definitely think Wes would be proud if he was still alive. Rest in peace. I'm giving Scream 5 a very strong 9 out of 10, and I approve of this movie to the fullest extent possible. I didn't think they'd be able to do it without Wes, but they did it, and guys, Wes will be proud, and I'm proud. Good job, Radio Silence, you guys killed it. Thank you guys for watching my spoiler-free review of the new Scream movie, which just came out last night, and I saw it last night. Hell yeah. If you guys have seen this movie, let me know what you think down in the comments, and like I said, tomorrow I will be posting another version of the review that has spoilers in it. So if you've seen the movie, watch that one. If you haven't seen the movie and aren't going to be able to see it anytime soon, just wait until after you see the movie to watch it. But until then, guys, my name is Zero, and I will see you guys in the next review. Peace.